Bladesmiths, I love pinball. This is a vintage pinball machine, so I had to give it a go, especially considering this is the last game of pinball this machine will ever see.
Oh boy.
That's because this isn't just a vintage pinball machine. In the first round of competition today, this is also your medal. Good luck, Bladesmiths. Your 3 hour starts now. The smaller sections of steel from the playing field of the pinball machine that are 5160.
Yeah, the bumpers.
The first thing I do, I take it over to the chop saw. I don't want to have to deal with those potential delamination issues. Those 2 bars need to start heating up. So I'm going back and forth from Big Blue to the forge with these different pieces of steel, drawing them out. I forged out the blade to its rough dimensions. I brought it up to temperature, let it air cool to black. This helps to kind of cool down the molecules in the steel so that they take the quench better. I pull it out, looks pretty darn straight. The edge hardened right up. I think I'm good.
The technique that I'm going to use is a sand my construction. Using the piece from the inside of the pinball machine, I want to sandwich that with the legs on the outside of the steel. I use my angle grinder and my great big wheel, and I grind off all the scale. While my steel is heating up in the forge, I grab the hydraulic press dies, preheat them a little bit. I do 2 quick presses with the flat dies to set the welds so I can make sure that I'm getting that welded together correctly.
Ethan's tapping in the tip on Big Blue. It's a very tricky thing to do.
Ethan, across the forge with the oxyacetylene torch.
The ledge quench.
I'm doing an edge quench because I want to leave that back soft and the cutting edge hard so it'll give the blade more strength and ideally prevent it from breaking. It's taking me a while because the blade's still thicker than I would normally get it and a lot thicker than I would like.
I'm making a layered construction recurve fighting knife. I'm gonna be doing 2 layers of leg and 2 layers of the bumper. I'm gonna take these 2 pieces, stick them together, and see if I could forge weld them to a billet.
Watching his welding, there's a lot of squeeze here and it comes up over here kind of stuff. I'd be interested to see how solid these welds are.
I don't understand why I can't get the angles flat. I cannot get this billet square. I'm going to try to solve this by maybe see if I could flatten it out a little bit better. I'm using the grinder to get as much of the surface material off to thin out the blade and perhaps even put a little bevel in there so that I can get it ready for the quench in this last few moments.
What is Steve doing?
He's gonna grind himself a knife.
It's not gonna be pretty, it's not gonna be shiny, but it sure is gonna be done.
Come on, where's that dang blade?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmith, drop your tools, shut down your machines. This round of competition is over. Bladesmiths, congratulations. You've made it into the second round of this competition. Now that those blades have been tempered, it's time to turn them into fully functional weapons by attaching handles to them so that we can test them for strength and durability in a pinball plunger smash and for edge retention in a loop bag slice. Good luck. Your 3 hour starts now.
Doing the grinding appropriately so I don't screw myself over is kind of hard.
That one pock mark there, it's not going away. So at this point, leave it alone.
By the thickness that I have left, I can't afford to take off any more material, so I'm calling it good. With my grinding done, it's time to move on to my handle, which means I need to get holes into my tang. I drill holes in my tang, but the fit is not ideal. So I have to drill a little bit more to make them less of an issue.
For the sharpness test, I'm gonna put a wicked edge on there, but it can't be too thin because for the pinball plunger smash, it has to be strong enough. I don't want my edge to roll over or chip.
As soon as I finished sharpening on the grinder, I get a whetstone and a piece of leather that I can strop with, just making sure that edge is polished and really sharp. My blade is very sharp. There is very little hair on my forearm now. This blade, it will shave.
My first priority is going to be a handle because if it doesn't have a handle, they're not going to be able to test it at all. The materials I decided to use for my handle construction is piece of brass for the guard and a piece of white oak wood.
Looks like white oak.
The guard was not a parameter, but in my opinion, the best way to protect the person using it needed a guard. The clock is ticking down, so I start profiling my handle. I'm going for a fighter-style shape.
He's going to take that 1-inch contact wheel and contour the handle and the guard all in one shot and make it seamless.
I intend to have a palm swell and a thinner spot down where your pinky and ring finger would be so that your hand would fit really nicely to the handle.
Ooh, I kind of like what Ethan did to the back of that handle.
It's really nice work.
I'm finishing up the handle to make it to where it would fit my hand. I don't know if it'll work for the judges' hands, but I can't use their hands, so that's all I got.
I have a lot of delaminations and seeing if I can even things out and get it ready for a handle. I have to keep checking it to make sure it's not thinning out the blade too much.
So Steve has drilled 4 holes in his tank and then freehand drilled them through the wood. The odds of all holes lining up perfectly are very small.
I've chosen Corby bolts that have 2 pieces to them, and I'm going to put them through the holes and get them to connect in the center. I need to get the final edge on it. I have got to get this thing done. I'm feeling anxious. I know I'm going to get it done, but it may not be quite good enough.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bladesmiths, shut down your machines, drop your tools. This round of competition is over.
Hello, Bladesmiths. Welcome to the strength test. To test the strength and durability of your edge, as well as the overall construction of your blade, I'll be launching that 52-100 9-pound pinball at the edge of your knives 3 times. Steve, you're up first. You ready?
I'm ready.
Well, Steve, I like the shape of your blade. I like the forward bend to it. But the pinball did some damage. There's some rolls up here at the edge. There's also some gapping here at the handle in the back and in the front. But it all held up. Well done.
Thank you.
All right, Ethan, you're up next. Are you ready?
I suppose.
You suppose. Well, I suppose I'm going to do it. Well, Ethan, first things first, it did take some rolling. The handle is a little bit big. There's a lot of handle left over on this knife. But I love how you relieved all the grinds on your guard here. Beautiful knife.
Thank you.
Michael, you're up. You ready?
I am.
Well, Michael, being that your blade is so thin, you have the most flexible of the blades that are out there. It ended up that flexibility gave you a little advantage in this test because the edge rolling that's here, and there is some, it's not bad. Well done.
Thank you.
Bladesmiths, this is the loot bag slice. To test the edge of your blade, I will take your weapon and I will slash on these loot bags, emptying and liberating the prizes in there. Now, unlike the strength test, this is all about what the edge of your blade will do to these loot bags. Steve, you're up first. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Steve, as you can see, in slicing this bag, it just cuts on the impact area. On the slice itself, it didn't cut the bag open. And Steve, sadly, your blade, sir, did not really cut. Ethan, your turn. You ready?
I suppose.
All right, Ethan, let's talk about your handle here. The swell you have there makes my hand go only in one spot where it's comfortable. But because you have such a large handle, if you go to other spots, it gets in the way. Now your edge. As you can see, it cuts in every movement. It liberated the contents, which allows me to say your blade, sir, will cut.
Thank you.
All right, Michael, your turn. You ready?
Oh, yeah. Steve's knife struggled with the loot bag slice. Ethan's obliterated the bag. I'm feeling a little bit nervous.
First up, your edge is sharp enough to cut this loot bag open. It feels good in the hand. It was easy to move around with your blade. And overall, sir, your blade will cut.
Bladesmiths, the judge's deliberation is complete. It's time for one of you to leave the forge. The bladesmith leaving the forge is Steve. Your blade didn't make the cut.
Steve, all the blades took the same kind of amount of damage during the strength test, but in the sharpness test, your blade just didn't cut. And for that reason, we're sending you home.
Steve, please surrender your blade.
This is a really great experience. I was able to not only see other smiths at work, but also to push my own limits. I have learned some things here, and I'm going to take them to my own shop, and I may just make another 6-hour night.